Hey, Jeff back again. I want to do a contest entry. Seems like there's a lot of contests and threads going around, so I figured I'd catch up on a couple of these. This one is going to be for Miranda Holter. She's having a push to 300 subscriber contest. And so if you haven't checked her out, check her out. The link will be below in the description here, so you can go check out the contest. Enter if you choose. Make sure you subscribe, like things, all that stuff. The idea is on this one is to show your greatest thrift store find. Now, I have yet to have one of those finds where you walk into a thrift store and absolutely find something you cannot believe's there. You know, like obviously in my line of work, in my genre of taste, can you imagine I could walk in one day and find somebody just donated a box of, 80s hair metal, or stuff like that. Obviously, that would be the fantasy find, is to find a bunch of stuff like that in good condition. The stuff that I have purchased at thrift stores, I tend to go for if it's in great condition and if it's something I think I would enjoy. So I hearken back to some of the thoughts of where I found and what I found. And one stands out in time as what I would consider my greatest find, and it would be in one particular setting at a thrift store. Because honestly, most of the stuff I have picked up here and there, were just things to check out, things to try, random things. But in this particular time, and I went back and found that I actually did the video of this discovery of this particular thrift store find back in September of 2018, which means it was early on because I started my channel here in the VC in August of 2018. So one of my early videos was me going out or talking about what I found at the thrift store. So I go in there and I'm looking, and it's a Goodwill store, and I'm flipping through, and everything's like $1. And so again, I pick up an album, and I didn't even recognize the artist or anything, but it was in great condition. That is the first thing that catches my eye. It had a guy on the front with a guitar. And so anyway, what I ended up picking up was Philip Upchurch. And as I told the story back in that video, I had no idea who he was. He looks like a rocker. I'm thinking, here's a blues or something. But then I examined the album further and found that there's no vocals. So I'm like, okay, most likely jazz. He does some cover tunes of some popular songs. You've Got a Friend, things like that. And I'm thinking this would be cool. And it's jazz. And it's a double record set. And when I pulled it out and looked at it, it doesn't look like they've been played. The album cover looks like it hasn't been touched. It's got a cutout here. I didn't stop to think about looking them up on Spotify. I could. Sometimes I might do that if I'm really questioning, but sometimes I just buy based on what I see. And I'm like, I like jazz. I'm probably going to like this. And I grabbed it and realized that it wasn't even on Spotify if I had looked when I went back. But anyway, so I grabbed this and flipped a little bit further and found a second one. Philip Upchurch. Again, the corner's cut, again, pristine condition, same label. A year or so later, again, another one not on Spotify. And so I grabbed this. Then I kept flipping, and I found three of the early Chick Corea era of jazz albums. Now, I know who Chick Corea was, so I immediately grabbed these. I do have most of the stuff I have CD-wise is of the Chick Corea Electric Band. Dave Weckl, one of my favorite drummers of all time, is on that band. And so this stuff, I'm like, okay, well, I know Chick Corea, I know he's classic jazz, and these are famous albums. And then when you look at some of the people that are playing on them, and I'm like, well, there's no way you're going to pass it up. When you flip these type of things over and you see that it's got, Al Di Meola on it, it's got Stanley Clarke. I mean, come on. How can you pass this up? So in that particular instance at that thrift store, I got 2 Philip Upchurch and 3 Chick Corea albums. Now, these weren't quite in greatest condition as the other 2, but I gave them a good cleanup, scrub them down a little bit, and then they sound, good. They're probably a VG. They have some pops and cracks, but for the most part, great stuff. So I still look back at that as being probably one of my greatest thrift store finds. I did have one a couple months ago where I found a bunch of stuff, had a lot of water damage to the cover, but it was mostly a lot of pop type rock. So that was a good close second. I got Bryan Adams, and I even found like a David Lee Roth album, which is close to the '80s stuff. That I ended up VCLT in that. I found some Bryan Adams and Little River Band and stuff like that. So, but these turned out to be just great finds because I got 5 great jazz albums for pennies on the dollar in great condition for the most part, and it was a great time at that days. I was in the early days of finding of really going back out and getting into buying records and stuff. So to me, it was like an early memory of a great time in a thrift store. So anyway, there you go, Miranda. Hopefully that qualifies. And thanks for the contest. Everybody check her out, and I will see you later. Rock on.